to yet another beautiful episode of the program This Day in History right on KTV. And as you all know, my name is Lara, the host for the program. And our focus for today is going to be on the 16th of February, way back in history. The first event we have here is in 2007. In 2007, way back in history, Whitney Spears shaves her hair at the hair salon. Then she got some fresh ink tattoo at the tattoo parlor. It was the beginning of a public meltdown for Spears, who filed for divorce from Kevin Federline months earlier, and as of then, they were negotiating custody arrangement for our children. Another event we have is way back in 2021. Lauryn Hill's 1998 album. Lauryn Hill is the singer of the popular song "Storming My Pains with His Finger." If we remember that particular song. Now, in 1998 album, the album titled "The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill" is certified a diamond for 10 million sales in America, making her the first female hip-hop artist to earn that certification. Also, way back in history in 1968, the first 911 call is placed in United States. Yes, the first 911 call, we know that line to be an emergency line. So the first 911 call is placed in the United States in the year 1968. On February 16, 1968, sees the first official 911 call placed in the United States. Now, then, it was taken for granted as first course of action in the event of emergency by nearly all the nation's 327 million people. 911 being a relatively recent invention way back as a then, was still not standard across the United States for many years after its adoption by the Congress. Now, as telephone became common in the U.S. household, fire departments around the country recommended establishing a single simple number to be dialed in the event of a fire or other emergency. A similar system had been implemented in the United Kingdom decades earlier, in 1936, when the code 999 was chosen for emergency telegraph and phone communication. Now, the Federal Communication Commission decided to act in 1967, but the number itself came not from the government, but from the AT&T, the corporation that controlled nearly all phone lines in the U.S., via its long-distance service and ownership of local Bell Telephone subsidiaries. And see what we have today. Any emergency, you have to call 911. But way back then, it wasn't really taken serious. On February 16, 1923, in Thebes, Egypt, English archaeologist Howard Carter entered the sealed burial chamber of the ancient Egyptian ruler King Tutankhamen. Because the ancient Egyptians saw their pharaoh as gods, they carefully preserved their bodies after death, burying them in an elaborate tomb containing rich treasures to accompany the rulers into the life after. I'm trying to imagine things right now, like you way back. Pharaohs as are being considered as gods. So when they die, they are buried. Their bodies been preserved, not just preserved, it's been buried with a whole lot of treasure so that they can see money to spend, clothes to wear in their next life. That sounds funny. Now, in the 19th century, archaeologists from all over the world flocked to Egypt, where they uncovered a number of these tombs. Several tombs were uncovered. Now, many of those tombs, because they were filled with treasures and all, has been broken by robbers and stripped to their riches. Ha! Now this one got me laughing because I got to realize, like Yoruba would say, "Kosibiti see," meaning things happen everywhere. So while I could remember at some point in Nigeria, not at some point, I think it still happened, when people get buried in the burial ground with expensive things, robbers get to dig up the dead body and take out all the valuables, the ring, the expensive clothes, and just wrap them up like that and bury them again. So way back in Egypt, it was also happening because most of these prominent pharaohs were actually buried with treasures. So robbers bug the tomb and then take out all the treasures, and then I guess they'll put back the mummies back there without anything. So things happen everywhere around the globe. All right, we move on. Now on this quest, Carter searched for 5 years without success. All these archaeologists, they can look for anything and everything anywhere, everything. I don't know what they are looking for. So you're actually looking for a particular tomb for 5 years. You're making research about just a particular tomb for 5 years. Now, in the early 1922, Lord Carnarvon wanted to cut off the research, but Carter convinced him to hold on for 1 more year. Imagine, 1 more year, like you're saying 1 more day, because of just a particular research for just one tomb. Anyways, in November 1922, the wait paid off when Carter team found steps hidden in the debris near the entrance of another tomb. The steps led to an ancient sealed doorway bearing the name Tutankhamun. That's the previous pharaoh we're talking about by the name Tutankhamen. When Carter and Lord Carnarvon entered the tomb's interior chamber on November 26, they were thrilled to find it virtually intact, with its treasures untouched more than 3,000 years ago. Wow. The men began exploring the forums of the tomb, and on February 16, 1923, under the watchful eyes of a number of important officials, Carter opened the door of the last chamber. Inside lay a sarcophagus with three coffins nested inside one another. The last coffin was made of solid gold, wow, contained the mummified body of King Tut. Among the riches found in the tomb, golden shrine, jewelry, statues, a chariot weapon, clothing. The perfectly preserved mummy was the most valuable, and it was the first one ever to be discovered. Now, despite the rumor that a curse will befall anyone who disturbed the tomb, its treasure were carefully catalogued, removed, and included in a famous traveling exhibition called The Treasure of the Tutankhamen. The exhibition permanent home is in Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Oh my God, this day in history, don't worry. There will be a time where we have to travel all the way down to our location, to our location to actually film all of this live and direct. Okay, we move on. Let's talk about the National Day. Today is said to be the No Eat Alone National Day. Now, No One Eat Alone is a prevention program that was created by non-profit Beyond Difference to tackle the growing problem of social isolation in schools. As we all know, in schools, so many things happens, bullying, you know, people being racism and so on and so forth. So the program, which was launched in the 2012 in a handful of schools in Northern California, addresses an issue that affects students all over the country in urban, suburban, rural, public, and private schools. Now, No One Eats Alone encourages students to not only sit with classmates they don't know, and to get to know other people as well who might feel left out and included. This reminds me of my first year in secondary school. Man, it's also boring and lonely. I wish Nigerian school could adopt this national day, this national No Eat Alone day, so pupils can learn to mingle, to learn to make freshers feel at home. So in 2018, more than 1 million students in over 2,300 schools in all 50 states participated in National No One Eats Alone Day. Okay, I think I really like that. I really like that particular celebration. At least for freshers in secondary school, they don't get to feel left out, especially if you're coming from another country, from another race. You don't get left out or feeling unwanted. Now, another day we're celebrating today is the National Almond Day. Oh my goodness, Lara have come again. I love almond nuts. I love almond nut like crazy. Now I read on. It's generally believed and agreed that by historian and food historian in particular, I think I should have this food historian to my this day in history. You people know I love food. Like I would say, I love food, but I'm not a foodie. Don't call me a foodie. I just love good food. I think I'm going to add food historian, contents to this day in history, especially, don't mind me. I'm just cracking a dry joke. Now, food historian in particular made research that almonds were one of the earliest cultivated food by mankind. Almonds are mentioned as far back in history as the Bible. Although their first place of origin is debated, almonds were thought to have they were being discovered first in China and Central Asia. Now, while traveling the Silk Road between Asia and Mediterranean, explorers were said to have snacked on almonds during the long travel time. As explorers were settled in the Mediterranean region, the tree began to grow in the area. As the tree spread throughout Europe, many of them clustered in Spain and Italy. Almonds eventually made their journey to the United States in the mid-1700s. Historians believe they made their appearance on the trade ship brought to the U.S. from Spain by Franciscan Padre. Now, the tree died out in the United States quite quickly as the soil and cultivation knowledge to keep the tree alive was inadequate. This almond tree, they were cow. See the travel. The tree is what we ought to be calling Ajala travel all over the world, traveling from one country to the other. Oh my goodness. Human beings that never travel this kind of travel where this almond tree don't travel, just traveling across the globe. Okay, it was not until the 1800s that almond trees were successfully grown and harvested in the state. By the end of the 1800s, the Sacramento and San Joaquin, I didn't quite research what that is. I think it's a location. The Sacramento's and the San areas of the California became the United States' biggest almond producer. So today, almond symbolizes a variety of things. The Bible tells the story of the row that blossomed and bore almond, making them a divine religious symbol. The early Romans gifted almonds to family and friends as fertility charm. Wow, I'm hearing that for the first time. Now, these gifts were typically given at wedding. What did you say? Anyways, I think I would like someone gifting me an almond nuts on my wedding day. Yes. So please, anybody coming to my wedding, which is happening very soon, please, all I care to have is anything nuts, cashew nut to almond nut to bring it on, bring it on. I can imagine someone gifting you an almond nut at your wedding. That is ridiculous, but quite interesting. So today, sugared and roasted almond are almost given at American weddings to guests. Yes, my wedding planner. The first should we say the small chops, the finger foods that I'll be eating that day is going to comprise of almond nuts. So today, sugared and frosted almonds are often given at American weddings to guests as a sign of happiness, wealth, and good fortune, at least to usher my wedding to be a one that will be fruitful and full of fertility in all area. I'm marking that almond nut has to be served at my wedding. All right, let's go to the last part of our content for today, which is those born on this day in history. Born on this day in history are John Xavier, born on the 16th, 1995, known professionally as Young John the producer. If you've noticed that signage in most songs, Young John, yes, Young John the producer, in some soundtracks, some music, yes, that is the person we're talking about. He's been known to be a professional singer, a songwriter, and a record producer. Another person born on this day is Hamad El Rufai, born on the 16th of February 1916. He is a Nigerian politician who served as the governor of Kaduna State from 2015 to 2023. He served as the minister of the Federal Capital Territory from 2003 to 2007. He also served as the director of Bureau of Public Enterprise. He is a co-founder, founding member of the ruling party of All Progressive Congress, APC. see. We've come to the end of another interesting episode of the program This Day in History. I need you to join me tomorrow for another episode. In case you're listening for the first time, don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And I remain your one and only Omolara. Peace.